Coming up on Smart Tech today, Matthew Casanelli and I talk about, well, not Snapchat spectacles, but Facebook's new glasses. We also talk about Amazon getting into the TV game and loads of other new products that are launching soon, plus some updates on some upcoming HomeKit products. And I have some advice for what smart devices are worth checking out and what might be worth skipping. It's all that plus so much more coming up on Smart Tech Today.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Command Line Heroes, an original podcast from Red Hat that tells the epic true tales of developers, programmers, hackers, geeks, and open source rebels who are revolutionizing the technology landscape. Season 8 is out now. Search for Command Line Heroes on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And by Hover. Whether you're a developer, a photographer, or a small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. Welcome to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, dynamic, and sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I am one of your hosts, Micah Sargent.
And I am your other host, Matthew Casanelli. Hello, Micah. Nice specs.
Oh, thank you so much. I saw some news this morning that made me dig these puppies out of some banker's box that I had tucked away somewhere. I could picture that bright, gaudy yellow case in the box. I found it. Ooh. I plugged it in. They've been charging all day. I just wanted to get the experience of having Facebook's new Ray-Ban Stories glasses. Because turns out they came out a long time ago. It was just made by a different company called Snapchat. Well, Snap Inc. This is our first story of the week here. And it is that Facebook has revealed a new pair of glasses that they've done in concert with Ray-Ban that have little cameras inside of them to record things happening in your space. I think let's start with just the fact that has happened before we break into it, because there's been some interesting stuff about this story that I was not expecting.
Mm-hmm. What, like the details of the product, you mean, or?
Yeah. Let's talk about the details here. What you know about them, other than the fact that, as I said, these are just these glasses have cameras inside of them. They've got a little LED light to help show that you are recording stuff, and they are made with Ray-Ban as part of the process. So they're very svelte in comparison to some of the other cameras that are cameras in comparison to some of the other glasses that are out there, and they are definitely not augmented reality glasses. Like, we need to be clear about that. That is not the point of these glasses. Exactly. This is part of Facebook's roadmap for more in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And so they look exactly like Ray-Bans pretty much. And I think that's part of the benefit, and in many ways, part of the problem that's kind of interesting about these, especially because the LED light is just white and it doesn't do the kind of classic red is recording sort of thing. And so many people's knee-jerk reaction to this is, well, here's another way for Facebook to look into your life and spy on you and record data and things like that, or just that people don't know that you're recording them. Joanna Stern from the Wall Street Journal did a video, and pretty much every single person that she talked to had no idea that they were being recorded, even though the light was on and everything like that. That could be because the product just simply doesn't really exist, except for in the form of Snap spectacles. So those are a lot more conspicuous. I think it's very interesting. I've been watching some YouTube videos about this and stuff like that, where you hear Mark Zuckerberg talking about it with your average consumer, and then Sarah Dietschy talked to Boz, who works in Facebook Reality Labs. So it was very interesting hearing them be explicit about how this is part of their roadmap to AR and AR glasses and things like that. But they pretty much want to try to get the form factor right first, which they do look exactly like the Ray-Bans that I own. And so that is like, I do think Snap spectacles just kind of look ridiculous. I personally don't also like that particular style of glasses that have the rounder edges and then the nose cutout has the kind of angle in it. Whereas the Facebook one, I keep calling them Facebook glasses, but they're Ray-Ban Stories. The Stories thing is a little bit cringy to me. I would just say like my camera glasses or whatever. Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought because Ray-Ban has multiple models. So like they actually have those that look more like the Ray-Ban ones too, which are a little bit nicer. And then the classic Ray-Bans. And then I'm not super familiar with the third style. But I think that at least compared to something like Google Glass is night and day difference of this looks like a great product. You can do the camera, the video and everything. And you can listen to like podcasts or music too, or take calls. But I think the biggest problem is that it's made by Facebook, which is in many ways, we always talk about like Portal or something like that too, is I just wish this kind of was made by somebody else that hadn't abused our trust for many years and privacy and things like that. So
yeah. So this is the interesting thing to me. With these Ray-Ban stories, it's really been fascinating to me how positive the reviews have been. Like it's as if some folks have forgotten that these were made by Facebook. It's sort of the early reviewers have really talked to these up, and then the people that are learning about it from the early reviewers are going, but it's Facebook. Like that's the problem. And it's what's really interesting. Somebody had pointed out on Twitter in talking about this that Facebook has come out with some pretty good quality products, including the Oculus Quest 2, the Portal, which is actually it's a really well-designed camera interface device. And then now these Ray-Ban stories. And it's like everybody seems to, except for the original reviewers, everybody is kind of just going, yeah, but it's Facebook, and not wanting to have anything to do with it. So I found it interesting how much positivity there was surrounding these, given that they do come from this company. And I don't want to wear Facebook on my face. I don't have any interest in that.
That's kind of like the angle, but I don't necessarily want Facebook AR glasses, but I want non-bad Snapchat spectacles. And so the fact that, and Facebook is very like, I don't know. I think that's why it's so complicated. And for some people, it is just a deal breaker instantly because it's from Facebook. But in terms of like privacy and stuff, it goes to the specific app. You can only record for 30 seconds. So it's not, you like can't just keep recording someone without either saying, hey, Facebook out loud. I'm not worried about triggering that because I doubt anybody has it, but or just reaching up and doing the recording gesture. So I think into like the social aspect of it versus the like technical part are like, I can parse those out, but when it comes together to be like, should you buy this? That just kind of depends on how you like take those different parts separately. So, or whether or not you can separate those parts, I guess is part of it too. Like, I think that's why it's exactly like the tech itself is good. It's not, I think they should make the recording thing red or something like that. Or, I guess that's kind of what I was getting at with the videos is they, in the videos, they have things that say like, you should tell people what you're doing and like demonstrate it to them so that they know. And it's like, you are like kind of being that first adopter who has to like make society get used to the fact that there's going to be glasses like this going forward. There's
a part of
I think more of the reviews should have talked about the privacy problems for sure.
Maybe, but here's the thing. In the United States, there are legal grounds to what amounts to a reasonable right to privacy. And in public, we do not have the same privacy rights as we do elsewhere. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying in terms of like what the law says, photographers, I mean, what was that really popular, Humans of New York, that super popular Instagram that ended up becoming like a book and everything. You go around, like photographers are constantly taking photos of people. You don't actually have to ask permission for folks in public to take their photo because it is a public place and we don't have the right to privacy in a public location. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
And so there is a part of me, like, I get the... I think it's important that we do follow these, these guidelines and stuff, but I just wonder if it's a little bit, and like for me to say this is a little odd. It's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Optimistic to expect that people are going to be doing those things, or going, like, when you're in public, you have to expect that you're going to end up in you're already ending up in people's Snapchat stories in the corner of the frames and their Instagram posts in the corner of the photo. Like, that just happens. So we all have to kind of be aware of that. And I think that it's a little bit blue sky, rose tinted shades thinking that people are going to do that thing that they show in the video. Ultimately, like, from now on, you should just
telling somebody.
Yeah, and here we're going to push this button, and here's what this means. Nobody. I mean, I
think it's like if you're around your friends, it makes sense to tell them that you're wearing glasses that have camera on them, and then they like. But I think that's why it's basically that the recording thing doesn't do enough for sure. Like, that's not socially acceptable right now, and Facebook making that move is a mistake. And just like, if they just did that one thing, it might make all of the difference. Maybe not all of the difference, but like a significant thing, versus it plays into the story that they've earned, that they don't respect your privacy and they're like pushing the boundaries too much. And so I was even talking with somebody.
Like, everybody's
do kids these days even know that red means recording? Is that a thing?
Yeah. And every person who's sitting at a restaurant, two chairs down, recording themselves eating the, bagel with schmear, their phone is not flashing at us, letting us know that they're recording.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
So this is why would Facebook / Ray-Ban do that? Like, what makes it different that it's a pair of sunglasses versus a camera phone, versus old school Aunt Pruitt walking around and taking photos of people, and they don't know that they're getting photos taken of them? Like,
I think it's conspicuousness is kind of the issue. Like, a camera is so obvious, and that's
I guess
in many ways,
it is more.
It's like the middle ground works because you can see with the phone, but this is like, it's either like in your face or you don't see it at all, and so this is way too far to that one side. Yeah. I mean, just the whole smart glasses thing. I also, though, like, I have photos that I took of my nephew that I like know that I could have gotten some like cool shots with that. Like, I'm interested in it as a person who makes videos and like camera hardware. But I definitely know that I wouldn't like wear this on bars and take videos of people because they'd punch me in the face and take it off or something like that. So that just feels like I'm not going to be the person to push that or pay $300 for something like this right now, at least, for sure. So I'm interested. I want to see like at least competition from tech companies. And it seems like the rumors are that like Apple are doing AR glasses, and I mean, everybody's doing them or something. So I don't know. It's interesting, but it's definitely like, I fully understand anybody's reticence for this product because Facebook hasn't proven that they won't disrespect your privacy, even in the way that they release this. So I think that's like, I don't know. I don't have to defend it. I just think it's interesting. There is like, it's a story and there's positives and negatives for sure. So one of the one detail that I thought was interesting was how they basically have like a color filter on all of the shots to essentially give it more of a feel that's kind of like a film thing, and that it also helps compensate for not being as high of quality. And some of the film grain is then brought, it's kind of like hidden in the darkened colors. And so it's not that dramatic, but I thought it was kind of interesting. So I don't know. It's an interesting product. I would probably play around with it. I don't see myself investing in something like this right now, especially, I don't know, just because it is, I would probably use it and then put it in my drawer or something. Like the fact that they actually look like Ray-Bans is the biggest thing, because I actually wear that pair of glasses every single day. So like I could take it out and make a video or something and not feel like I have Snapchat spectacles on my face, which I also own. I couldn't find them. And then I was like, I don't really care. They're pretty old. So
yeah.
So aren't a fan? I guess I didn't fully, you seemed like you weren't, and then you like convinced yourself the other way in the middle of it or something.
You got to the root of the issue there, which was that why is it different for glasses than it is for a camera or a smartphone? Which was, I was wanting to get into that. But as far as how I feel about these in general, I'm definitely on the no side because it's Facebook, which is a bummer because Ray-Ban's pretty cool and they make some good stuff. And it's my sunglasses of choice and also my actual glasses of choice brand. So in that sense, I think the idea of having a camera that is out of my hands and is very easy to use is to capture things is really cool. I just don't want it from this company. I think it was Jason Howell who was talking earlier today about how he has video of his daughter taking her first steps, if I remember correctly, captured with Google Glass, and how because he wasn't having to hold up his phone or anything like that, it gave him this like really personal experience where it is as if you're looking through, his own eyes watching this happen. So as far as putting cameras in places where things feel more personal and where it becomes convenient to capture things, I love that because I'm a person who always forgets to take photos and video when I'm out and about and kind of have to be reminded of it. And yes, the crowd that's like, well, you should live in the moment and have it. Yes, we do that too. But it's also nice to then look back over the course of the last 3 years and see the times that you went out and sort of be brought back to that memory. So I think you can do both. It's not this cynical, if you're not just experiencing the moment, then you can't enjoy the moment. Yeah, you can. But also having the opportunity in a way that then does reduce the sort of friction that you have where you feel like you're capturing instead of actually partaking. You get to participate and you get to capture. I love that idea. I just don't want it from Facebook.
Yeah, that's why it's like all of these are just like, can somebody else make that exact thing? Like specifically even with Ray-Bans, it's like disappointing because nobody else is going to make Ray-Bans except for Facebook, I guess. So I might not be wearing them unless they have good style because I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I know that at least I like the look of it. And so I'm never, ever going to change it. That's my style at least. So,
yeah.
So Facebook, all right. Ray-Ban stories. Let us know if you're getting them. I'm curious.
Oh, apparently you have to dye your hair if you're gonna get these. Dye it bright red, Ray-Ban red. Apparently, for folks who are listening, you're like, "What is he talking about?" There's an ad showing somebody with Ray-Ban stories on, and they have bright red hair, or actually deep red hair. It looks like Ray-Ban color. Anywho. Let's move on because there was another company that created kind of a branded thing today. Amazon announced that it is officially getting into the TV business. Amazon has announced a line of televisions all the way up to 75 inches. And some of them support Dolby Digital and HDR and all sorts of stuff. They're going to be available in October, so they're available for pre-order right now. As you might expect, they have Amazon's Assistant built in, so you can use it to communicate. And then you can also turn off the microphone if you don't want that. It is very heavily integrated with Amazon and the whole Fire TV system, but you can also plug a set-top box into it and use it that way. So you could just, have the television itself with a third-party system connected to it. It doesn't necessarily have to be an Amazon device. But I find this interesting, Amazon making its own televisions, particularly because I'm curious about the shipping. There's a part of me that wants to buy one of these just to see how they ship, because notoriously, anytime I've only ordered a television like twice online, and in the 2 times that it happened, the delivery person was always like very concerned and worried that why did you order this television through the mail? I hope we didn't break it, because if we broke it, it's a whole ordeal. It's like, well, yeah, maybe don't break it. Anyway, so I'm curious, I'm genuinely curious about how they're packaging these and what they're doing there to make sure that it arrives and is delivered as expected. Scooter X in the chat is saying that the televisions appear to be made by TCL. And so that's an interesting thing, because TCL makes TCL Roku TVs. So if they are also working with Amazon on their TVs, TCL's got their foot in is it foot or is it finger? Finger in all the pies, foot in all the foot pies. Featuring Dolby Vision and Dolby Audio for these devices. So yeah, I don't know. I want to hear, because we talked a little bit about this before the show, and you said you had some hot takes to give on Amazon's new television.
I think that's why it was a hot take. I was just like, something about this I don't like. That
sounds like a lukewarm take so far.
Exactly. It wasn't too hot, but it was just like
something about this I don't like.
Take. I like it.
What is it about it? I don't know, but I don't like it.
I feel like this is like a product line that Amazon makes to be able to sell at a discount on Prime Day or something. Now Prime Day now just feels like all you get are Kindle or Amazon discounts and then like random stuff. It's like now they can also sell TVs and get you to sign up for Prime, or I don't know. I think also just in general, having the service separate from the kind of connected TV platform that you have means that you can switch. And so this kind of implies that you wouldn't, because you'd probably be using the Amazon thing. I did go, when you were talking about how you can plug in a set-top box. So, I mean, it could be fine, I guess. I think just the fact that it implies that you have it hooked into the web itself, and then just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're probably just going to be monitoring what you watch through the Amazon stuff anyways, so it's not that much different. And I did actually appreciate when I was just learning about it, how you can get the Ring doorbell views on it and stuff like that. So it very much feels like the Apple TV that isn't actually a TV. And then, but this is a TV because Amazon has a partnership or knows how to make them enough. And I like the hands-free part too. There's a stat that says that people who use voice consume twice as much content or something. But I also, when I read that, I thought back to my statistics class, and I saw the stat that people who don't use voice watch half as much. It's the inverse of that data makes more sense to me than the fact that it's because I use voice, now I'm just watching twice as much television. I don't know. Maybe it's people just activate it more, because it makes sense that it's just easier to watch because you just say, hey, play this, and you would watch more or something like that. But yeah, I think the reverse is if you had echoes and never ever use your voice stuff, you were probably less likely to watch a lot of Fire TV stuff, which is that was a stat that made sense to me. But either way,
interesting.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't
have an inherent problem with it. I guess I was I don't know why my hot take was that you would hate this also, and because you also don't generally like Amazon. I guess it's more Ring.
Yeah. So I thought that I wouldn't like this either. And at first blush, I didn't, because I was thinking the same thing. It's like an all-in-one product. So then you get in and you're just Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. But then I stopped and I said, well, I have a TCL Roku TV and it wants to be a Roku TV, but I don't use it as one. I just use my Apple TV connected to it. So it doesn't have to be that super Amazon branded device. And that also means that what I like about TCL is the TCL has figured out how to make higher quality panels that aren't as expensive as LG and Samsung. And so it like brings this HDR and Dolby Vision and all that kind of stuff technology to the masses, which you don't get so much with the other you don't get to have that unless you spend a boatload of money. So Amazon doing this is just another opportunity for folks who would like to check this out, being able to. So I kind of like the democratization of it. But yeah, I do think that folks have to be aware. So yeah, I think that that's why I'm more bullish about it than I thought I would be in the beginning, because of, I think about a lot of people who, and also people who are, they've got one car and they got that car a long time ago. And that car was a car that they got because it was cost effective and it doesn't have room for a gigantic television. And so now you can place an order online, and if you know your Prime and all that kind of stuff, then it ships to your door and you don't have to worry about that. Like there's all of these little things that surround this that I actually quite like, even if it is Amazon that's behind it.
That's fair.
It doesn't feel as Facebooky.
Yeah, I was going to say I spent all of my bullishness energy on supporting Facebook earlier, so I didn't have any left over for this.
That's fine. We all only have so much to give. All right,
Mark
let's take a quick.
Sucked my soul away.
Dang it, Mark! You're always doing this.
Watching the video was very creepy, but yeah, okay.
All right. This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by Command Line Heroes. We love them. We really do. An original podcast from Red Hat. Command Line Heroes tells the epic true tales of developers, programmers, hackers, geeks, and open source rebels who are revolutionizing the technology landscape. Folks, it's time for another season of Command Line Heroes. It offers a unique blend of historical context and current trends shaping the tech landscape. And this season tackles one question from every angle. What is a robot? Is it a servant? Is it a factory worker? Is it a prosthetic? Is it a vehicle? Why do we build robots that look like us? And we often ask whether we can trust robots. But can robots trust us? Science fiction tells us many stories about robots. In the future, they will serve our every need, or maybe they'll develop a mind of their own and turn against us. Maybe they'll be the savior of humanity, or they'll be our downfall. Season 8 of Command Line Heroes covers the robots that are in our midst and the determined dreamers who bring them to life. 8 episodes compare the promise of science fiction to the reality of robots today. Of course, we had the opportunity to listen to the first episode. It's called Robot as Servant. And here is a clip from the show.
While making this season, we discovered a robot reality that's pretty removed from the robots we imagined. And yet, all those misguided ideas about what a robot should be actually shaped what robots are. And no robot fiction shaped things more than the story we told ourselves about robotic servants.
Yes. So I love the production quality of these shows. I've talked before about how even just going to the website and looking at the pages, the artwork is beautiful. They always roll out these new pieces for every season. It's gorgeous. And then these stories are told so stinking well. You heard the light adjustment and phasing to the voice as you were listening. That's Saranyat Barak, the host of this award-winning podcast. And I just think it's so worth checking out to learn more about robots this season. And of course, the show is produced by Red Hat. Season 8 is out now. You can search for Command Line Heroes on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And of course, we'll also include a link in the show notes. course, our thanks to Command Line Heroes for their support of Smart Tech Today, the perfect show for such a season. Thank you, Command Line Heroes. We appreciate you. All right. There was one story that I missed before we were heading to the next section here, and that is about Luna. So I have talked a whole heck of a lot about Luna because there's been some strange narrative about how Luna is not good. I found Luna to be pretty doggone awesome. It is what allowed me, it's Amazon's game streaming platform. And it has been the way that I have played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Even though I don't have a Windows PC that's powerful enough to play a console game like that, or an Xbox console or a PlayStation console, I'm able to just play it by streaming to my MacBook. And Luna, the service, has gotten some updates, which folks have said are kind of much needed updates to keep it sort of in front of folks and keep it kind of exciting. And one of those features is called Luna Couch. And what's cool about Couch is that you would have somebody over, and so you might want to play games together. And you can share your Luna subscription essentially with them, and you two can play games together. So the wonderful thing about Luna in general is that it does work across different devices. So if your friend has a Luna controller and an iPhone, they could be playing from there while you're playing from your computer. You could be playing from your iPad while they're playing. Like, there are all of these different devices that you can play Luna games on. And now you can invite a friend to play with you. So co-op is awesome. And this idea of one person only having to have the subscription, that was a clever choice that they made, and one that I think is going to push Luna up to the front of the game streaming wars, I guess we can call them, because they kind of are. It's the company's kind of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, trying to get on it. And there are a few other updates for Luna, but I think Luna Couch is the one that folks have been most excited about, along with some new titles added and some other bug fixes and changes there.
So, I guess when you were phrasing that, I kind of. Is it interpreted so that they can play on their own device next to you? Or is it says you can play with you over the internet, so they could not even. Yeah,
that was a misunderstanding that I had. I really thought that it was sort of on the same local network, but it looks like you can I could play with you if we wanted to, that you don't have to be in the same location to play together. Yeah,
I guess then you could just like Discord or FaceTime with each other or something.
Yeah,
that's what I'm just trying to figure out. It's like, what's their intention? But
if they have voice chat, or I don't know how that works because I've not made use of this new feature. But yeah, if you're not together, I don't know if they give you the ability to communicate, or if that is kind of the incentive to play together, is that you both are there.
I feel
in
like
the same space and you can chat.
Yeah, especially because it's called Couch. I feel like it does make sense. That's like, because it says if it has support for local cooperative play, they can play with you over the internet. And so like you could each have your own screen, I guess, but they'd also need a controller. So I'm slightly confused on the implementation, which I feel like in general is how I feel about a lot of these game streaming services. Is like, I'm like, I'd never know if I need the controller or if like what the rules are. It's like, because it is just a new paradigm. So I think that's one of the things that just prevents some people from adopting this, is just the general confusion around it. Whereas like a console is pretty clear what's happening. But I'm glad that I think this makes a lot of sense. And I think even just going back to the Fire TV story makes a lot of sense, that it's a game console built in too. So that's all cool. It is. I think it's still hard for me to wrap my head around, because it kind of all came out. I barely even remember the name Google Stadia, which is still their platform that does in theory the same thing, but they also made really bad strategic moves with their developer studio, which I think is like now barely functional or something. So I think it just they kind of shot themselves in the foot out the gates. And then Amazon's kind of doing their thing where they're just like rolling the stuff out. And if you're not paying attention to it, you might not even notice it. But then people like you are just like, hey, Assassin's Creed is fun. And it's like, cool. That's all it is for, which is great. Like, I'm glad you got to play that game too, because those kind of games are awesome. And it otherwise is reserved for people who buy expensive consoles and stuff like that. So I'm all for this kind of stuff. Oh yeah. Did you mention that it is expanding to Fire tablets and Chromebooks too? So it really
I didn't mention
like,
that part. Yeah, that was one of the changes.
Which is cool. That makes a lot of sense. It's like, it really is. It's like Apple Arcade in many ways, but even probably in some ways better because they have all, to use my, I'm catching myself saying this, but they have actual games like Assassin's Creed, not just mobile games, but...
Now, the Luna family option is basically giving multiple people access under one Luna subscription for a little bit more money, but it does limit you a little bit more. It's $2.99 a month, and it's for that is really the easy cheesy games that you can play together. For sure.
SpongeBob.
Yes. Battle for Bikini Bottom. All right. Now we can move on to talk about a new product from the old folks at Flic. Tell me about the Flic Twist.
Well, this is just a teaser, but they've put out a page where you can sign up and learn more. So I've tried to step inside, as they say on the page, but it's they're coming out with the Flic Twist, which sounds very much like we've seen a couple other hardware devices like this. Is it Nanoleaf? Don't they have like the hexagon thing? I keep forgetting about that. But there's some others that you can like twist and do stuff to trigger smart scenes. And then their whole product page is funny too, because they just have this stuff where it's like, turn down the blinds. And they're like, okay, I'm playing a song. And you're like, oh my God. And then it's just like from the people who made the smart button, I assume it's going to be a twist thing where it's like, if you go right, you can, or like click once, twice, 3 times to do different scenes or stuff like that. So pretty interested, but it will be coming out later this fall. So that a good teaser for folks who are interested in the Flic products. And I like all this kind of hardware stuff. My main question is it going to work with shortcuts in HomeKit properly? So we'll see.
One hopes that will be the case. I think I got into the club, let's see, and I needed to confirm my email for a point. Now, hold on. I did confirm my email and it's still not letting me in. Anyway, I think this is, so it looks like it's going to, it's a sort of tactile device, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Let's look at this. So there is a link in our Discord from Scooter X that links to a tweet. It says, Facebook sent reporters covering their glasses launch a list of supposed third-party privacy and consumer groups that it consulted for the product. And Ryan Mack on Twitter did some digging. Of the groups that were on the list, Facebook funds 4 of those groups. It says the privacy expert that Facebook is having defend its new wearable glasses works for an organization that is funded by Facebook. This was the quote from the New York Times. Facebook is not naive to the fact that other smart glasses have failed in the past, said Jeremy Greenberg, Policy Counsel for the Future of Privacy Forum, a privacy nonprofit that is partly financed by Facebook. But he added, the public's expectations of privacy have changed since the days of previous smart glass releases. And so, although the New York Times points to the fact that the person they were quoting was part of a group that is partially funded by Facebook, Ryan Mack went on to explain that 4 of the 5 groups are at least partially funded by Facebook. So just something to keep in mind.
That's where they're getting their advice on whether it's okay or not. It's by people whose bills they pay. So that makes sense why exactly it's like, technically, if you have the light thing, like, yeah, this is like disclosure. And it's like, nah, not really. So good follow up.
All right. Tell me about the new smart collar that has come out or has been announced.
Yeah. I thought this was cool. The Fi Series 2 smart collar for dogs. And I just hadn't heard of this brand before, so I never saw the earlier version, but it's kind of like a dog collar that has a fairly minimal looking, almost like a seatbelt clasp that has this main smart product in it. And then it's a way that you can track your dog's steps, and uses, it does require, or there's a, I guess I didn't check if there's a non GPS or cellular version is what it is. But that uses AT&T's network. So, okay. It's GPS that uses the LTE network. So you do have to pay for a service to go along with this, but you can kind of track your dog's steps throughout the day. And if they ever get lost or anything like that, find them. So I thought this was just like, it's a good review to read through and see. There's like good points about how this isn't necessary for every single dog, but if you do kind of have a hyperactive dog who likes to get out or something like that, this might be the perfect product for you. And then just the stuff about like their steps throughout the day and how long they sleep and stuff like that. I don't know why the sleep part made me smile, just because I just imagined them prioritizing that. It's just like, I used to sleep all the time.
Yeah. So this product reminds me a lot of there are a few other ones that are out there, but they're always so big and chunky. I really like that this one seems to be a smaller option, less chunky option, because I have a smart collar that does activity tracking for the dog and uses the cellular network for GPS location by triangulating the location of the dog. And then in the app, you just pay a subscription fee that covers the cellular contract for that. So I imagine that this is going to work a lot like that. But yeah, it does look slimmer. These things are definitely made for bigger dogs and kind of always have been. And to this day, I'm still looking for a company to come out with something made for smaller dogs. The problem is getting battery into this thing at the same time as the chip that's being used to track. And it's hard to do both. So honestly, I think that the way to do it, and I've been like sort of going, hey, you know what you should do is that instead of trying to fit it into a collar, making it a harness, because there's more room to spread out the technology. So if they would make a harness, they could make, the chip goes here and there are two batteries that run along the chest or what have you. And so then it doesn't feel so thick and chunky, which doesn't work on smaller dogs. So this is a really cool product. And I like that there's more than one option for folks to get this level of tracking available for their animals. I haven't seen a whole lot of stories about folks actually using the AirTag to track their pets. Yeah, most of the time.
I don't think it's very good for it.
Yeah, most of the time it's been about tracking other things, tracking luggage or what have you. All right. Next is that Hiro has some home insurance specific to smart home owners. So I think this is such an interesting story on its own, because it speaks to folks who at this point are going, you know what, if I'm buying a home, I want it to be a smart home and I want to have certain products available in my home. And I want to take advantage of all of the savings that can possibly happen because of that. So right now, that mostly centers around folks getting rebates or free smart thermostats, and I've seen quite a few people take advantage of their own utility companies' rebates or complete, free install of a smart thermostat. But this is pushing it even farther and saying, hey, you could get a discount on your home insurance if you have an alarm system installed that is part of, the approved options. I think this is a really good idea. In the same way that some auto insurance companies, if you put that little OBD2 dongle inside of your car that looked at your driving habits, I'm not saying that in of itself is a great thing because of the privacy concerns there, but in the same way that that lets you save money on your insurance, and in the same way that some health insurance companies will let you save money on your health insurance by, for example, letting them keep track of your Apple Watch information, all those different things, I'm not surprised that home insurance is also considering ways to take advantage of these discounts.
Yeah, I thought this was a smart idea. And I'm jealous because this is a UK only brand, but I was like, what a good idea, especially like if you have the water one too. They're like, you get the biggest discount for that because I don't know, it's just all logical. Like you're using a less electricity. It can be very predictable too in how you use that stuff. And just if something goes wrong, you can catch it before it is an issue. And so it's like, why overpay if you're probably not even going to use the insurance at that point? So pretty smart.
Agreed. I think it's a very smart choice. All right. Now, what happens when that dog you were tracking earlier comes back into your home and it's so stressed out because it got lost? And so it takes a big whopping do on your floor and you are out of your home at the time and you have set a schedule for your robotic vacuum to clean the floor. And so you come home with dew all over your floor because your robot vacuum ran over a pile of dew. Now everything is wrong and everyone is sad and everybody is unhappy. iRobot is joining the group of robotic vacuums. It's certainly not the first to do this, but is joining the ranks of robotic vacuums that pay attention not only to everything around it, but also the floor beneath it. And identifying, I just had this really funny moment of thinking about the ML engineer who had to program the data set for like, is poo, is not poo, is poo, is not poo. Can I put a Snickers bar on the floor and will the robot try to suck it up? I don't know. Depends on the ML. Anyway, Roomba certain models of Roomba will now dodge pet poo so it doesn't spread it all over your floor.
Yeah, I thought this was clever and of course amusing as usual. The Roomba J7 Plus has iRobot Genius 3.0 Home Intelligence, which is their home AI assistant thing, basically just actually applying more than the basic knowledge. And the one thing that did make sense besides pet waste is cords. So it's just like, it won't get stuck on something that it shouldn't run over every single time or something like that. But yes, because I was just going to say that I have that issue of wanting to pick up cords. It'd be really nice to not have to think about it. Go ahead. Yeah, but they call it their pet owner official promise, and you can figure out those initials for yourself. But I thought it was just a clever way to prevent what is a very real problem. I wonder if this was like even like a perception thing, because I feel like everybody saw that like one article where their Roomba did that and just destroyed their house. And so it is like people, even if it doesn't necessarily happen that much, are like wouldn't buy it because of this. And so this is almost like a marketing checkpoint as much as, I mean, I'm sure it's also just very helpful. So curious how much actually happened. You're right. They must have had a lot of data sets to come through.
Get in touch with us, iRobot, if you want the person who made sure that the POOP promise was there. That's like saying ATM machine. The POOP was there. I would love to talk to that person about their work as an ML engineer. All right. Up next, we've got talk of a sound bar flipped on its side, like one of those old PlayStation consoles. Tell me about the Sony HT-A5000.
Okay. When you said that, I thought of vertically, like the soundbar is going up and down, but this is a soundbar that has, in addition to the speakers that shoot forward, they have two tweeters that shoot up in the sky. Yeah, I also thought that when I first read the article. So
like Dolby audio.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a way to get Dolby Atmos in. I think they also have the exact specification, Dolby whatever it is, and at that level. But it's a way to get the surround field system through, I think, just a single. I don't even think you need the tweeters are built in, so I don't think you need any other thing, and you should be able to get Dolby with this one thing. So it almost sounds like what a HomePod does, actually, because that was one of the major original things with the HomePod, is the way that it has like cones angled at specific ways so that it can project the audio off of different spaces. And so this is kind of like that same thing all in one setup. So I think this actually seems pretty solid. The Sony HT-A5000. And it's like a $900 speaker. So it is like a really good speaker, but also it's kind of like the entire home surround sound setup in one thing. So actually it seems pretty solid, and Sony makes
I'd love to actually hear it and find out.
I totally thought the same thing though, that it would be just a sound bar on vertically on the side, and it's like I don't know how that would work though.
All right. Up next, let's talk about Logitech. So Logitech has come out with a whole host of products over the course of the pandemic, and in some cases before that. But their latest product is called the Logi Dock, and it is this adorable little USB-C dock for your computer that is also a speakerphone. I think this is so clever. So you can use it to have your conferencing in whatever device you're using, but it's also a dock for your computer. So it's got all sorts of ports in the back that you can use to connect to the system. And so you've got, USB Type 3 ports, Type A ports, USB Type C ports, a display port, an HDMI port. Those ones are great. 100-watt USB-C port that you connect your computer to, so it can charge your computer at the same time, and Bluetooth connection so that you can pair it with a smartphone or tablet for audio playback. It is going to come out in winter 2021. So this year, and retails for $399, so $400, which that may sound like a lot, but it is actually not a lot in comparison to similar docks that offer those same ports on the back. This is a pretty price comparable device for what it does and what it is. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really cool idea as a way to, like, you send these to your employees and they can dock their computers during the workday and then take their computers elsewhere after the workday is over. Yeah. Pretty smart. And good for hybrid work too, moving back and forth between the office as different counties shut down and reopen over and over and over and over and over and over again. Not that I would understand that, but anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, this was an interesting product. I feel like I initially didn't understand the monitor. Like, I didn't think of it, even though it's obviously in the name. I'll admit that I sound dumb saying this, that I didn't think of it as an actual dock. I thought it was like just one of the conference speakers sort of situation that you could plug into to, instead of having a mic and a headset at all, you could just use this. So it does have like all the beamforming stuff. So you can just have a call using this as the mic and have the audio come back out, and you won't get tons of feedback. But then the part about the HDMI, so it is like, I think I also missed the ports on the back. There's one special port that goes out to your computer, and then the rest are like just a normal dock. So then plus the HDMI, I guess you would only have, there's only one HDMI. So it says that you could have two, but I guess one would have to be DisplayPort or USB-C, but then those go into the computer. And so it is just like that one thing underneath. This is actually pretty solid. Like, I do think these kind of products make more and more sense, especially with the sound cancellation. And there's like just a way to connect immediately from the thing. I think it lights up when you get a call. Or wait, am I misinterpreting? There's a Google one that does, that we're going to talk about in a little bit, that does similar stuff. But I don't know. I thought this is kind of clever, and Logitech makes good stuff. If you could just like have all your stuff mounted. I wish the one thing, this almost seems random, but I wish this had support for the mouse pairing, because I'm going to use one of those ports to put the little plug in. And so if this itself had just like really, really good Bluetooth, that would also be interesting, but I don't know. Like
Logitech's own technology for pairing Logitech mice. Is that what you mean? And Logitech keyboards?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they had that in here.
In any case, this is a lot like, if you go back on Hands on Tech, you will see my review of the CalDigit TS3 Plus, which is my favorite dock for my MacBook Pro. It's what I'm using now. Again, this is a lot like that in the sense that you have the one dock, and it just also so happens to be a device for connecting to speaker. I mean, to be able to take calls. And then I love that if you use the app, the software that comes with it, then when your meeting comes up, you can hit a button on top of the dock to immediately connect to Zoom or your Google Plus or whatever, wherever you're chatting. It lets you easily switch to that as well, which is quite nice. And then it's just also a speaker, so you can use it to listen to music or listen to podcasts throughout the day. It does a lot of stuff. I think that this is a very clever technology. Now it says Logitech's collaboration products are designed to play nicely together. You can create a wireless workspace with Logi Dock by directly pairing Zone wireless products and connecting a Logitech wireless keyboard and mouse with a unifying receiver. This frees up USB ports for other devices like your webcam. So I don't know.
So does it have it then?
If you have Zone, then yes. But I don't know what Zone is.
I had a recent story about they have like a new receiver that's called the Bolt standard to help with this kind of peripheral connectivity. Here, I'll put it in our show doc. But it's like a new way, basically, because everybody's having those issues. Like even the new MacBooks still have Bluetooth. I literally like keep my mouse like up and near where my computer is so that I can use it, which is really dreadful in many ways. So that's interesting. I want to look into that more too. I almost might get this. I'll explain more in the project section, but specifically like desktop speakers, and I have a whole dock situation going on. Like these are pretty cool. So it's a little pricey, but it is like,
yeah, as I said, it's around the same price as the CalDigit TS3 Plus and the Anchor USB-C dock. So when you get this many ports, you are looking at around this price. This one's a little bit more expensive because it packs in speakers as well, and as a speakerphone device. So that's where that extra cost comes from. But if you're looking for that kind of buy this one thing device, I think that Logitech has nailed it on being that device, because it does have, that's on the back of the CalDigit TS3 Plus. There's one display port plug and there's one HDMI plug. And I make use of both of those to connect to, there's not an HDMI on the CalDigit because I just use one of the USB-Cs to HDMI. But on the Anchor one, there's an HDMI and a display port. So all of this, I think that, again, Logitech has nailed it with this product. And I think that even though it's a little bit pricey, I think it's going to sell quite well.
It's like my mic and boom arm and then audio interface and headphones all cost more than that. And then plus you get a dock too and everything. And so it's like, it charges all of your devices too from the desk from one port. So it really is like, I have so many things charging that, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I'm going to check it out for sure.
All right. Let's talk about Apple. Microsoft
by way of Microsoft
is coming. Yeah, is coming to CarPlay, which is I'm reading that right? Yeah.
I saw actually Carolina Milanese, I love saying her last name, talking about this because they were like just driving through Arkansas or something like that and needed to be on a call, and just having the ability to stay connected through the CarPlay interface seems like a pretty solid addition. So pretty basic stuff. I saw another thing though that I thought was kind of fascinating, and I almost wanted to see how it worked. This is just in part of the same article, is a cameo feature in PowerPoint where you are like on camera presenting the PowerPoint, but they even have a way that you blend into you can do what's now kind of if you've heard of the company Loom, has a little circle as you do a little demo recording for somebody in your business, but this, like one of them, it shows them blended into the slide design. And I was kind of like, that's actually awesome. Like you are literally giving the presentation in the presentation. So I don't know. I just thought it was a clever feature, but CarPlay support, very welcome as well. Lots of people take business calls in their car. And especially if you are running late, you could always answer the call from your car.
Yes, I keep busy no matter where you are because you should always be on the clock. That's always great. No, I tease. But what's next on the list here?
This one is Bose has a soundbar that is getting AirPlay 2 and Dolby Atmos. So kind of similar to the other thing, but we're talking about, I don't think it has any of the special speakers, but then it's got just the ability to cast your audio or use video automatically. So pretty solid set again. Also, Bose makes incredibly good speakers as well. $900 as well, and coming out in September. So I feel like maybe this is just kind of that new level of soundbar that's just like, here's the next version that can kind of do the Dolby Atmos stuff. So pretty solid. I guess it does look like it has that upwards firing speaker. This article just doesn't emphasize that as much. Yeah.
That actually doesn't surprise me because Bose is like, we've been doing this for ages. We don't.
Yeah, exactly. I remember watching, is it Pearl Harbor, in like my grandfather's surround sound thing that he had set up that he was so proud of. And that was like my first surround sound thing. And I think I just watched that earlier this year on like my AirPods Max. And I was thinking about that experience and just how the Dolby Atmos stuff is it's all the same now. I guess it was just surround sound, but yeah.
And then we've got Meross, which makes the Wi-Fi air purifier that is an Apple HomeKit device. Now, I do have to say, I've seen some early reviews of the air purification efficacy of this device and similar devices. I just don't know if it's worth. Yeah, I just don't know that it's worth getting a sort of non-standard, non-smart air purifier when you get so much more benefit out of a not smart air purifier. Those ones end up being much better at actually filtering the air than these ones, because these are all the proprietary, very specific circular filters paired with the low power fan, and all of that come together to make for an air filter that's just not as good as even taking a box, like buying a box fan and buying a high quality, what is it called? It's the filter that you put in your HVAC system, buying one of those and sticking it on the front of the box fan and taping it to it. That is actually more effective than a lot of these smart air purifiers are.
Yeah, but like I would do that when there's fires nearby. And this is just going to be a very California conversation now. But I think like for something like my office, I'm not going to keep a box fan with my own filter strapped to it and all year round or something like that. So like,
no, you should just spend more money. You should spend more money on one that is high quality. It can be smaller. It's just that you like buying this means the device itself is actually, let's say, and I'm not speaking to this one specifically, but let's just try to like average it out. So the air filter part of this itself, the part that does the fan mechanism and the air filter, that's $50. And then you're spending 20 to 30 extra bucks because it's smart, because it has a Wi-Fi chip in it or a Bluetooth chip, whatever. And so instead of spending $70 on this thing, 70 or $80 on this thing, why not spend $100 on one that is higher quality, where you are not spending an extra $30 for something that doesn't really matter when it comes to actually clearing out the air in your space. Like, yeah. I think that air filtering is
it just because you said of the shape?
So that's two things. It's the low quality of the fan engine. And that's paired with them cutting costs on the actual filter itself. You have to buy a proprietary filter that they make, and you have to, stick that in there. And those are much lower quality because they're not in the business of making an air filter. They're in the business of making smart products.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I'm just curious. And I think that's especially for stuff like this, we always talk about like Meross makes the affordable version. It is worth knowing when something isn't necessarily worth going more affordable, just to kind of like not get any of the benefit too. I guess I'm curious because it's only designed for a room that's I think 200 square feet, which I don't even actually know. Like, I don't have a mental model for how much size that is. Like, is that bigger than my office? Do you know? Like, you can just kind of see through the video. It's like, it's not that big. I'm just curious if it's still fine enough for that. But also, yeah, I guess
your office is probably smaller than 200 square feet because that would require your space to be 20. Wait, no. Wait, no, maybe it could be. Let me see if I'm doing my math correctly. Why is that? What would that be? 15 feet by 15 feet?
This is saying a 12 by 12 room is 140.
Yeah, 12. There we go.
That's like bigger than this for sure. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, but again, if you're going to buy something that's going to improve your health, like don't skimp on the cheap versions because
exactly
it's going to be
as much as it's fun to be, have the smart air filter, go for the dumb air filter and then connect it to a smart plug instead.
Yeah, that's especially particularly for an air purifier too, is like you don't want to run it longer, especially if I think it's like decently quiet-ish, but like if it's just less effective, that means you have to run it longer, which means you're just kind of like punishing yourself more with the noise too. So good warning, I guess. The
Koei Mighty is still my choice, and it's got a built-in mode for turning up and down the filter depending on because it's got a little sensor inside that checks for air quality. And so it'll turn up or down the fan depending on what it senses in the environment. And what's really fun is having that next to we'll talk about it during my pick of the week, but it's an air quality sensor. And I'll get a notification from my air quality sensor. And then moments later, the Koei Mighty will kick on at a higher speed. So they both are, I know that they're both accurately reading the room because they're not connected. They don't talk to each other because Koei is not internet connected at all. It's just that each of them has a sensor that is detecting the same thing in the same space and doing a good job of it. So yeah. All right. Let's talk about this opportunity to save some money when you decide to go smart in your home. This requires a Raspberry Pi and some knowledge of how to set things up. But once you do that, you can potentially save a few bucks. And this is one of those things where I have to say, and this is probably coming from a place of privilege, I'd rather spend a little bit more money to not have to do all of this extra stuff than to spend a little bit less and have to do all this extra stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. It's about the authors talking about how they were like setting up their home and had a place with 40 bulbs. And so I think that's at the scale where saving $15 per bulb is probably worth it for them. But it's the Philips.
What kind of home has all of these light bulbs?
Yeah, it's like upstairs or I don't know. Not everybody lives in California where we have no space.
Yeah,
or it's just way too expensive to have any space.
But like even in my old house, I bet this is because the person also didn't want to do smart in-wall switches. They wanted every bulb to be smart instead of just
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's sockets. Like every one of my rooms has a fan and light combo. And so I'm looking up and like, yeah, each of those fixtures has 3 bulbs in it. But instead of making the fan's bulbs smart, I just make the switch smart on the wall. And so that, solves for that. So that makes sense.
Isn't that more effort though? Wouldn't you say? Just talking about the effort of installing wall switches. I feel like that's harder than screwing in a light bulb, but
Oh, well, maybe for you it is. It takes me not very much time. I've been doing it for, look, I've been doing this. I've been doing this for a long time, pal.
I thought you were, at first I thought you were talking about how the fact that I have bad electrical stuff, but no, you were just slamming me. Okay.
I'm just,
anyways,
yes, it doesn't take me very long to install some light switches. That's all I'm saying. All right, go ahead.
Show me how someday, my poor idiot soul. No.
Oh my God.
But basically, Philips makes what's called Wiz bulbs that are like Hue bulbs, but basically don't have any. I mean, they just don't have HomeKit support. I think the interesting thing, though, and you know why I got this, it has shortcut support, baby. But also, it just works over the internet, and so they can hook it up with Homebridge. And so this article was just about how to go through and set up Homebridge stuff in there, which has also, we talked about, improved lately, which is nice. But if you do want to get sort of low cost stuff that even made by Philips too, so it's at least a little bit more reliable. I thought it was funny actually in this article, he kind of took a dig at Meross saying that they have bad reviews. And so maybe that is a good follow-up from the last one where you're like, maybe don't get the purifier. But I just thought this was a good guide to, if you want to do something like that, here's how. And it is like, even just from the regular consumer ones, there is a step down that you can do and then program it yourself, which if you do have to spend a ton of money on new bulbs, this is going to be way more affordable. So but yeah, that shortcut support, I might have to try some of these out myself. I can, it does make it a little bit more justifiable that it's like, I do have at least 20 Hue lights, so that's a lot.
Nanoleaf Essentials bulbs, and then you'll know that they're all thread supported in the future, and they don't cost an arm and a leg.
That's fair. This is the opposite of thread.
Yes,
making it run over a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, it hurts me. As much as I love Homebridge, it hurts me to like have all of this obscurity between point A and point B. All right, Aqara just announced I think a few days ago that it is going to be supporting Matter going forward in the Aqara Hub M1 and the Aqara Hub M2. Followers of the show know that I at one point had an Aqara Hub M1 and then upgraded to the M2 because it is an Ethernet connected hub as opposed to just being a Wi-Fi connected hub. That, again, you know me, love my wires, love my direct connections as much as possible because that makes for I just don't have the patience for some of this slow tech. And so with that comes a whole host of the connectivity that we can expect in the future as Matter kicks off in 2022. But along with all of that is a piece from iMore where they actually reviewed the Aqara Hub M2. And as we talked about, super easy to set up. The connectivity is reliable, especially compared to the Aqara Hub M1. And the one thing that, or the couple of things that they said that they didn't like were that the alarm kind of stinks. Yeah, it's not very loud. I would never use this as an alarm anyway, but that's an aside. And then the cool thing about the M2 is that it also has IR blasters inside. And so you can use it to control IR devices. So that might be fans, that might be televisions or old school audio devices, basically anything in your home that is IR powered. Your bidet, I don't know what you have. Anyway, with it, the complaint that they had is that you aren't able to add those devices to HomeKit. So those, you have to control via the app itself. But that's okay. I think that the Aqara Hub M2 is great. As I've said before, and it does a good job of connecting my Aqara button and my Aqara vibration sensor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember when Rose talked about that for the first time, and I was like, no way. Just that you could have it in a drawer and just like when I open this drawer, something happens.
She has a great one for, it's on the back of her chair so that when she sits in the chair,
nice.
Then it lets her system know that she is in her office at her chair. And she pairs the chair vibration with some other like a motion sensor in the space so that it's multiple levels of presence detection as opposed to just being one. So yeah, I like that because, she can kind of count on either her movement in the room will be enough that it triggers that one thing, or her movement in the chair itself will be enough that it triggers whatever automation she wants to do. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea that she used. And then it's not great for washers because washers go through different cycles. And so it might think that there's nothing in the washer when there is, but it is good for a dryer as a way to detect when the dryer is done running. I unfortunately stuck mine to the washer before I was thinking, and it's not very easy to remove after you stuck it on there. So yeah, I just need to get more because they're not that expensive, but they are good for all sorts of things.
You could determine if it hasn't detected something in the last amount of time, I bet. The problem is that it's not the built-in options are not as they don't go as long as you'd want them to. And so once again, you've got to add like 3 or 4 layers of different automation tracking to get it to work. And by that point, it's like, is it going to work or is it not? Have you done, now just while we're here, have you done convert to shortcut for many of your home automations to create conditions like that? Because I do think that would probably be the least painful. I'm not going to say no pain, but that I can see that could be a good solution. But it does seem like this Aqara Hub is like, for sensors like that, a pretty solid. That's like the only way to get a sensor like that, as far as I know. And just the fact that it's going to support Thread next year is going to be good. Also, like they're guaranteeing that. And like you said, it's already over
not Thread,
Ethernet.
Matter.
Oh, my bad. I guess I forgot there was a difference, but yeah, that makes sense. Not that I don't know the difference. I just forgot. We've gone many into detail with that so far into detail. But the good thing too is that this is $60. So like, I do like that it's not, I have to spend $100 on a hub just to get into another ecosystem. And then the sensors themselves are usually affordable too. So
yes,
pretty solid.
Yes.
Like this makes me feel a lot better about this brand.
There's a leak sensor, a door and window sensor. There are some cameras. They've got quite a few things. And so, yeah, you can, I like these devices that are all kind of one purpose company where you can just get access to everything that you want through that one place.
I didn't actually know that when I looked this up, one of the Google results is Aqara from Xiaomi. I don't actually say that out loud that much. And I didn't know that it was a subsidiary brand. So I just thought it was interesting. Like, I do think even Meross and some of those other brands, I want to look a little bit more into where did these guys come from? Because it is always kind of like, oh, these guys are making products.
Xiaomi.
I was going to say there are a lot of Chinese brands, or just like, I don't know, alternative brands that we wouldn't necessarily know here. So always good to do your research too.
Yep. And then last in this section is that Thinka has made the first HomeKit controller for Z-Wave devices. We talk a lot about Zigbee on this show because Zigbee is plentiful. But if you've got Z-Wave devices out there and you've been waiting to be able to get HomeKit support for those Z-Wave devices, well, Thinka said, you know what I think? I know, I'm sorry, I had to do it. You know what I think? I think we should have a hub that works with HomeKit.
I think we should have a HomeKit, though.
Mario.
I can do it because I'm Italian, so it's okay.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just. I guess whenever when the German comes around, I'll have to do that.
Make that
anyway.
Thinka. It'd have to be the E at the end, but.
Anyway, so this is exciting for folks who use D-Wave. Now, Z-Wave products and who have been looking to kind of modernize their Z-Wave products. So good for them.
It is EU for now, but it is coming to the US. So at least we might be able to see it sometime. I wonder if this would, okay, never mind. I'm going to look that up instead of just asking on air, because I was going to say, I don't remember, is Z-Wave part of Matter also, or
Zigbee is in charge. Yeah, Zigbee is basically the company behind Matter at the forefront of it, and now Zigbee is the Connectivity Standards Alliance, and Z-Wave has always been kind of we're over here and we're Z-Wave. And honestly, what's the most fascinating to me is how much of the sort of contractor market and the sort of buy for construction market is Z-Wave versus consumer products being more Zigbee on the whole. So there are quite a few in-wall switches and sort of built-in devices that are on the Z-Wave side, whereas Zigbee tends to be more what you buy after you move into a house and you want to add things. Let's take a quick break, though, because I do want to tell you about one of my favorites who will ultimately be my downfall, but in the best way. It's Hover. Look, it is time to make plans and let Hover help you achieve them. If you're a blogger, if you're a creator, if you are creating a portfolio or building an online store, or maybe you just want to make a more memorable redirect to your LinkedIn page, Hover has the best domain names and email addresses just for you. Email at your domain name is key to connecting with customers and building trust for your brand. They have domain-based emails for all your needs, small or large. And it's super easy to get set up too. You can add as many mailboxes to your domain as you need. And when your domain renews, well, your mailboxes will too. And the prices are unbeatable. The most popular mailbox is a no-brainer solution for business owners. You can get access from anywhere. Just use the email app that you're comfortable with. Or if apps aren't your thing, then you can use their webmail, which can be accessed from wherever you are. I use Hover all the time. I just recently added an email for my chihuahua.coffee domain. So now you can email Micah at chihuahua.coffee. And that's thanks to Hover's email system. But I've also got emails at some of my other URLs that I own. All of it happens so easily over on Hover. And they made it so simple as well because they have Apple Pay. So then I can just go through and say, la, 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 I'll take this one and this one and this one and this one. And there are all these sales all the time. So it makes it very easy to buy new domains. I think I saw there's a sale on cloud domains right now. So you could buy, well, your name here, Micah.cloud in my case. For $4.99, folks. Like I want Micah.art. I want Micah.cloud. .com domains are only $13.99 right now. .design, .gay, .inc. Yes, there are two inks. There's INC and INK. All of these, and they just have sales all the time. So then I'm like, you know what? I don't own Micah.store. But I should. And it's so fun to just go on there and grab up domains. It's kind of like buying a star, except better because it's actually real, unlike buying a star, which is a very fake thing that you should never do. Hover isn't here to upsell you on stuff you don't need, by the way. That's one of the annoying things about some of those other ones out there. No, Hover just wants to help. They have pro-level tools, including powerful domain and email management tools that are intuitive and easy to use, whether you're a web pro or you're just getting started. It's super private and secure. Who is privacy? It's included. Some domains make you pay extra to keep your stuff private, not at Hover. Your private information will remain just that, private, and it's a great way to reduce spam and protect yourself from unwanted solicitations because you got to publish your information as part of the rules of registering a domain. And so anybody can look up that domain and get that information. With who is privacy in place, then you can keep that stuff secret. Super great. Hover Connect lets you pick the service you want to use to build and host your website. So you can use Connect to help you start using your domain name with just a couple of clicks, getting it set up with one of the services out there, Tumblr or Squarespace or some of the portfolio sites. At Hover, you are a customer, not a source of data. You can take back control of your data with reliable, tracker-free email. Hover is trusted by hundreds of thousands of customers who use their domain names and email to turn their ideas into reality. Don't buy a star, buy a domain. Whether you're a developer, a photographer, or small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. That's hover.com/twit for 10% off your domain extension for a full year. And of course, we thank Hover for their support. Thank you, Hover, and thank you for being responsible for me owning a bajillion D domains. I appreciate it. All right. Let's talk about the first quote, designed for Google Meet device, which joins the many designed for Microsoft Teams devices and the designed for Zoom devices that are out there. The Rayz Rally Pro, Rayz Rally Pro, which sounds like some sort of monster truck rally.
Yeah. Like it.
Hey, come on down to Rayz Rally Pro. $50, you'll get bottomless beers and a cup of nachos.
Bottomless beers. I don't know how that sounds.
Because it's like watered down beer. At Rayz Rally Pro, vroom vroom. Anyway, that's not what this is. This is a designed for Google Meet device that lets you communicate over Google Meet, and it's sort of got all of the integrations built in for you.
Yeah, this is definitely
not as exciting as Rayz Rally Pro.
Bottomless beer at Rayz Rally Pro. This is fascinating. I mean, it's like a little smartphone dock that, first of all, just has a big button that you can mute yourself with, which I think is a great idea.
You said mute yourself, but I thought you said meet yourself. And I was like, oh, wait, are we making it a verb now? I hate it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, just meet me. Oh, my God. Okay. But I think one of the interesting things is that this is like the opposite of the portal type smart display thing that uses that camera. It's like, just use your phone already, because ultimately you probably do just need the little square that's your face anyways. Doesn't need to be any sort of wide camera angle, and you can bring this anywhere. And the little thing is just like a little there. It's like it looks like a handheld Nest Mini, but it's designed to go on your desktop. But I think it seems pretty cool. Like this is what I think. Seeing this is probably what confused me about the Logitech dock, because that is like an actual computer dock. This is just the video conferencing part with all of the noise cancellation and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of clever. Like even for family calls or something, like I don't want to use Google Meet, but I think this is exactly like the Facebook glasses. I want this for the iPhone, just not from Google, just for FaceTime or just like being a speaker. So it is like integrated with Google Meet. So I think that's like the difference, is that you can mute yourself through there. And I guess it doesn't have the same connectivity button to the Logitech one has, where you can actually, it'll light up that it's your call and you can answer the call there from the thing. But this still seems like a pretty solid solution. And it's only $200 instead of a $400 computer dock. So I feel like this is a whole new product category in many ways. Like it's just the video conferencing situation, but kind of modularized. And this is Google's new like made for Meet situation that is, I guess you could get the Scooter X just put in the chat, the Series 1 desk that's a $2,000 screen for your Google Meet calls, which I'm not as much about. I guess that's just a video conferencing display. But this is a cool product. Like, I think this is just kind of I don't know. We're getting into the point now where companies saw the pandemic and were like, we should make better products for this. And now they've actually had time to fully develop them, manufacture them, and release them. And so I feel like we're getting just kind of this clever new category that's like, that actually does make sense. Not everybody needs a whole mic. I guess this is also replacing the webcam, which makes a big difference too. So Logitech doesn't want you to do that though. They want you to use their webcam. Makes sense. They didn't develop this one.
Yeah. All right. Let us get through some more stories here. There's quite a bit of Google news.
These ones we can just do quick.
Yeah. So first is that the Google Home has added an air quality setting if you've got the Nest Hub with AQI. So that way you can get a little bit more information about the air quality in the area. It's just nice that I think we talked about this a little bit before. Any more of an opportunity to see the AQI in more places is good, because even if you don't live in Firetown, USA, there are still places where the AQI, exactly. And so you may be going is this COVID? Why? I know I've seen a lot of people like sort of, they've joked about that, but at the same time, it's like you wake up and you're going, oh my God, is this just allergies? What's going on? Then you can kind of look at the AQI and go, okay, it's probably that, and feel a little bit better about things. So good that they're adding AQI to the Nest Hub so you can easily see what the AQI is for the day, the air quality index, if you aren't aware of what that is. Next, Google is looking into complaints of Lenovo smart displays having software issues. If you have a Lenovo smart display and it is not working as you expected it to software-wise, well, Google is on the case and are looking into what the heck is going on with some folks. Did they describe, I think it was like random reboots and sort of pauses. Yeah.
It's basically since the last update in March, there's been a lot of issues and just no communication. And so I think this was important because a lot of people were just kind of like, what the heck is going on? And Lenovo basically was like, this is Google's fault and we can't do anything to fix it. So I thought that was kind of funny and maybe did put some pressure on them to actually update it. But I just thought this was important if you had this. It's just like no communication sucks. And when you're just kind of left in that situation, you feel totally burned. So they don't really emphasize these ones as much. And like they just recently updated the smart clock. I've got one over there. So it's a totally different product. It's like the actual display thing and everything. But just if you have that, they're pushing Google to fix it. So hopefully soon.
This next one is exciting for folks who've used Google Photos to print photos. That service is improving quite a bit. For one, so there was this thing where for $7 a month, Google would use AI to determine kind of the best photos that you shot in a given time. We talked before about how the problem with that is that sometimes some of us have photos that aren't ours that we end up getting in our photo stream. And so Google might select those if they're really high quality. And then suddenly you're like, oh gosh, I didn't want this. But there is also a way to select photos in unlimited quantities now, starting at 18 cents per print. Petapixel says that those can be ordered in 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, 11x14, 12x18, 16x20, and 20x30 inch prints. So lots of different options. Now, there are a couple of ways that this works. In the past, you could have these photos delivered to a local CVS, Walgreens, or Walmart in the United States. And in Japan, it was at 7-Eleven. Those a lot of times were same day pickups. So basically they used one of those printing services as the way to do it. I actually used this before with a CVS here in Petaluma. I got some photos. I selected some photos through the Google Photos app and then had them printed and made them for same day delivery or same day pickup at CVS. I went to CVS, there was my stack of photos and I walked out with it. So super handy way.
Nice.
But you can also have them delivered. And I didn't know this, but Google has some pretty good prices for canvas sizes. For canvas prints. Yeah. They start at $19.99, which I'm really impressed by. Along with canvas prints, there are also some new photo book printing options. And they start at $10. So honestly, some of the best prices I've seen. I've used a lot of different services. I used Apple's service back whenever it had one. It doesn't anymore. A couple of the third-party services that are out there. And I've used Amazon's print service and Google's print service. And Google seems to have nailed it. Not nailed it because I don't know how good quality the books and stuff are. But in terms of lowest cost, I'm very impressed with the prices they've been able to hit. So I might have to get a book printed just to see what it looks like, how good it is, or how good quality it is.
Yeah, this is awesome. I feel like this is one of those things. I almost didn't put this in, but I was like, Google Photos in general is just like a nice service to be able to. I use it in addition to Apple Photos, and just actually getting prints that look good and are cheap and easy to do. I think that was the best part. I was like, this is actually pretty awesome. Like I might use
I've got photos in my house that I've framed
because of it. Yeah.
From using Google Photos for sure. And I've gotten books printed not books again from Google, but photos printed before that, were parts of GIFs. It's a really good service. And then last but not least is that the Google Assistant is rolling out a new trigger that starts routines when dismissing an alarm. So if you had this idea that, hey, a good example of this would be when a specific alarm goes off in your day and you dismiss that alarm, then I want it to turn on these lights or turn off these lights or do X, Y, or Z. So I think this is a cool addition that makes, again, things feel more automatic.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just perfect for actually kicking off a good morning routine for when you wake up and not just when your alarm goes off, because if you snooze it doesn't make sense. And so having when I actually dismiss the alarm makes a ton of sense. And of course, I just have to say Shortcuts has this too. So you can do it on both those platforms now, which makes a lot of sense.
All right. We've got just enough time for a quick project that we wanted to talk about. And it sounds like you've been having some issues you've been dealing with, Matthew. Yeah. What do you want to tell us about?
I just wanted to put this out there in case somebody else somehow had this, but I don't know when this occurred. Maybe I assume actually I probably did it while I wasn't paying attention on the other episode where we were talking about the Spotify integration with you. But for the last week at 8 p.m., or we determined over time that it was 8 p.m., all of the office lights in here have changed to blue and purple. And then if I turn them off and back on, would start slowly rotating through all of the colors with no way to control it. Or I think a very interesting thing that is not great about the Hue experience compared to something like HomeKit is I was like, what is happening? Like there's no like scene that shows that it's been activated. It's just like stuff has been triggered. And so it's just still going, but there's no like, this is what scene you have set status in the Hue app, which I totally wish they did because it was a Hue thing. And I just like couldn't tell. I looked through every single smart home app that I had, couldn't figure it out. I eventually figured out that it was a Hue Labs thing, which also the way they redesigned it doesn't actually tell you that anything is active in the thing until I went down and scrolled. But it's like a way, I think we were talking about the way to schedule stuff. And at some point, apparently I had set up the ability to do like a shifting scene in the Hue Labs. So this was just like, I always just want to share when it's like, I've spent the whole week being like, why are my lights changing colors at night? And you're just like, I can't do anything. It also, if I turn them off and then back on, it would just resume. But if I turn it off for like a minute, then it would fix it. And so it was just like, it is like, oh my God, I feel like an idiot for being someone who runs a smart tech show to not be able to figure out what's going on with my lights. But I'm happy to report that I fixed it. I'm okay now. My sanity has been restored. So if that's happening to you, especially because Hue redesigned their app too, it's a little bit more confusing. But you have to, if you're in the Hue Labs area, make sure to tap in and scroll down on any of those pages. Even if it doesn't look like it's active, there might be something in there. And then the other thing that I wanted to share real quick was, did you know that HomePod minis can be the output for a Mac now? Paired HomePod minis? Because I did not. And when they originally came out, yeah, exactly. Like I don't remember I guess I was, I don't remember I think I just was maybe researching the show and saw the story. And then I was like, wait a second. I never saw that come through. So when you first got the HomePods and you paired them and you tried to cast your audio from like the Mac system audio, it would only send it to one HomePod and you couldn't do stereo output on both those HomePods. And so I literally was like, this was the reason I bought this product. And then I ended up actually finding places for them in my bedroom and kitchen. And now I might end up buying more because I've taken them out of there and put them back into my office to try this out. And I really like it. I will say I totally still prefer the sound of a single HomePod for music. And it uniquely makes me, like, it actually makes me want to dance and makes me enjoy the music more. But yeah, I also was not using that HomePod for Mac output. And I basically didn't have any desktop audio at all. I would use the Mac Mini speakers, which aren't those are not speakers. There's like sound can come out of that device. Technically, they have audio output, but you should not use that to listen to anything. And I would just use these headphones or AirPods to listen to most stuff. But then I always love these stories of going without and then being like, oh, it turns out having computer speakers is really nice. I can listen to YouTube videos out loud and I don't have to like put in my headphones or something like that. And since then, and also it has Dolby Atmos on the betas, and because I have Apple TV channels, I could watch some of the movies that I wanted to watch in 4K on my Mac with the sound coming out of the HomePod and just like sit over on the couch that I have behind me. So I'm actually really satisfied with it, and I think I might keep it. And it might even get me to buy more HomePod minis to replace in the kitchen and the bedroom, because I like having them there too. But you can get your Mac audio to go out to a pair of HomePod minis now, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. I like it. That might be a reason for me to get another one. Because right now I just have the one, but I just use. I have speakers behind me that technically are my desk speakers, but I never set them up on my desk. And so they sit back there, and I use the Belkin Soundform Connect, the AirPlay device, to play stuff from them. So there's not an output speaker on my desk. I just use the speakers that are built into the MacBook Pro whenever I'm not listening with headphones. And it's fine, but it would be really cool to have two HomePods I'm looking to the corners of my desk because it'd be perfect. There's a spot for them on both sides. And having that like stereo feel would be cool too.
Yeah. So it does a good job of it. It does, like, maybe I sound... I always feel dumb when I'm trying to describe some of these things. And maybe this is just how most stereo speakers work, but I haven't sat at a desk with stereo speakers like this. But I think it's a HomePod thing where it actually sounds like the audio is coming from right in front of me. And it does a really good job of the HomePod pairing places that sound in virtual space around you, so that it actually isn't just like it's coming from the left and right. It sounds like it's in front of me. And so I think that is... It's a weird thing that you kind of just have to experience, but it's a little odd. Although I could tell, I was like, when I leaned one way or the other, I could really tell the difference if I move them too far apart. So it should be kind of like 45 degrees on either side. But yeah, good to know if you haven't paired that.
All right. Up next, we've got our picks of the week. All right, folks, it is time for our picks of the week. And it sounds like Matthew Casanelli is about to sell me on a pick of the week. Tell me, what do you have for us?
If you are listening, you might be able to hear it's a massage gun. And oh my God, Micah, buy one right now. Just click on the link, add it to your, do the buy right away thing. It's just one of those, I keep calling it a Theragun, and it's already annoying my girlfriend because it's definitely not. But I was like,
oh, man, wait, really she's a Theragun snob? Come on.
No, it's just that it's not. And so I'm being wrong. But I was like, it just is a generic term to me. But it's the little massage gun. We haven't even tried out all the attachments too. But I mean, I tweaked my back 2 weeks ago. And even before that, for a couple of weeks, I had on the other side of my back, like a weird knot or something like that, and it's totally gone. Like, I was in back pain and retweaked my back, and I had that for like the entire week, and I used this thing for 20 minutes and it was fixed. And so I was like, oh my God. Like, I always love those products where you're like, oh, it's kind of expensive, and then you get it and you're like, I don't think I've spent a better $100 in the last few years than, because it's like every single day. I mean, I use iPad Pro with my arms up and stuff. I have like, I like
look
to
at all
sit
the
back
different
with my iPad.
attachments.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my
it's
God.
Like,
it's got all these different tools.
Anywhere. So it's definitely.
Okay. Myofascial release going on here. And beating out lactic acid buildup. We've been hiking a lot. Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Creeping me out.
They blurred out the nipples. Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah. As we always say, hashtag free the nipple. But what is about this. We've been going on a lot of hikes lately. And so getting a lot of lactic acid buildup if we want to do a little Dr. Micah corner here. I should never say that myself because I'm definitely not a doctor.
Legally, yes.
And I only sort of play one on a podcast, but not really.
It's a doctor.
It's more of just being an encyclopedia. But so basically there are two ways that your cells, there are two main ways that your cells can provide energy for themselves. And one of those ways is the standard way where it uses glucose. And so that's why glucose is so important to the body. But that requires oxygen. And when your cells do not get oxygen, they switch to another process that results in lactic acid being created as a byproduct of the process. And lactic acid is this stuff that our body doesn't like. And so it sits in our muscles because our muscles are the things that those muscle cells need that energy to keep moving and doing what they're supposed to do. And so when lactic acid is created as a byproduct of not getting the oxygen, which happens as you work out and as you move your muscles, and particularly if you are not sort of that's what like in high performance athletes who end up getting in trouble for doping, what they're doing most of the time is taking a medicine that makes it so that their body absorbs oxygen even better, gets oxygen as it's supposed to, because all of our bodies to a certain extent can't get the oxygen that it needs to do the better process of converting food into energy. And so our bodies will go to that route of the no oxygen way that leads to lactic acid buildup, which is what leads to our muscles going, okay, too much, I'm giving up now. But anyway, lactic acid builds up in your muscles and then you are sore. And so devices like this, and if a massage therapist is coming along and working on you, some of what's happening is they are pushing blood into the parts of the body that have that lactic acid in them. And the blood is helping to push the lactic acid out of your muscle tissue. So this tool here that with these different heads on it that can push and massage in different ways, it's helping to press out that lactic acid. That's why it hurts while you're doing it, but it's that good hurt.
Nice. That's awesome. And it definitely, like, your skin is really red and kind of stings for like 30 seconds afterwards, but you're like, that's how you know it's working. So, well, I guess we'll have to call you Encyclopedia Micah from now on. You're not a doctor, but you play one on a podcast.
Yes. All right.
What's your pick?
My pick of the week is one that is not as not as exciting, but I think is equally important. It's the Aware Element. So the Aware Element it was what I was talking about earlier. It is an air quality monitor for your home. You plug this in, and what I love about this thing is it has a tiny little intake fan inside of that hole there. If you're listening, there's it sort of looks like a desktop alarm or like a bedside alarm. And on the right side is the temperature and all that kind of stuff, like a readout. And on the left side, there's just this little hole. And there's a little intake fan that takes the air from out in the space and blows it into the sensors inside. And then it's attached to an app that can give you readouts for the overall air quality, but also individual readouts for air quality, and in terms of the particulates in the air, the CO in the air, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's $149, and it is it's a great product that I have found to be. I've had one for years now. I think it was one of the first things I ever got when I first joined Twit, and so at least 2 years now, and it is really good. It's lasted for that long. I've taken it apart one time to clean it out because as it's pulling in things, of course, there's going to be dust buildup, but you don't actually have to pull it apart to clean it out. You can go in with a little brush or what have you. But is so good at detecting changes in the air inside and giving you a readout of that information. And you'll get these little notifications letting you know, hey, the dust is kind of high. You might want to do this, or hey, the CO2 is kind of high. You might want to do this. So I wanted to mention that again. I think it's been a sponsor, or I mean, not a sponsor, but a pick of the week before a long time ago, but bringing it back, the Aware Element for $149. So it seems kind of pricey, but it is high quality sensors inside. And one of the first ones that I've come across that has like legit technology for being an air quality sensor, as opposed to just being like, I do these 3 things, and then also I'm an air quality sensor, which is what a lot of the smart home products are.
Nice.
All right. That brings us to the end of this episode of Smart Tech Today. Thanks for hanging in there with us today. We had a lot to talk about. You out there can send us feedback and questions by emailing us, stt@twit.tv. You should tune in live if you'd like to check out the show while we're doing it live every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. You can check out the show by going to twit.tv/live. But the best way to get the show is by subscribing to it, by going to twit.tv/STT and subscribing to audio or video. You just click on the audio or video and you choose your podcast provider of choice: Pocket Casts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. That is the best way to get the show. You should also check out Club Twit. Club Twit is this really awesome thing. For $7 a month, you get every show ad-free. You get access to the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else, and access to the members-only Discord server, where you can chat with us hosts and other Club Twit members, as well as just loads of different people at Twit and outside of Twit. Twit.tv/Club Twit, $7 a month to check it out. And tomorrow we've got something special headed to the Twit Plus bonus feed, as well as you can tune in live in the Discord server to watch. I am doing an Ask Me Anything. Aunt Pruitt is hosting this Ask Me Anything. I'll be the first of many hosts who are going to participate in this. And so there have been lots of great questions, including Whitney Houston or Beyonce. What is the best piece of advice I've received and who gave it to me? What is your favorite educational technology and what does it enable users to do? Lots of great questions in there. Some tech, some not tech. Again, it's an Ask Me Anything. So they're able to do that. So yeah, if you want to be able to ask me anything, or you want to be able to watch that AMA afterward, twit.tv/Club Twit, $7 a month. Matthew Casanelli, if folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, where can they go to do so?
You should go to matthewcasanelli.com/newsletter and sign up for my What's New in Shortcuts newsletter that goes out every Friday, where I share tons of good tips and articles and stuff like that every week. I apparently need to make it more visible in my sidebar also, if you're watching the video. But yeah, it's I've been really enjoying sending that out. What about you?
I am at Micah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. That brings us truly to the end, which means it's time to say good afternoon and goodbye. Until next time, this is Smart Tech Today. He's Matthew Casanelli, and I'm Micah Sargent.
Encyclopedia Micah.
Encyclopedia Micah, or Encyclopedia Brown. Goodbye.
Android is constantly evolving, and if you're part of the Android faithful, then you'll be just as excited about it as I am. I'm Jason Howell, host of All About Android, along with my co-hosts Florence Ion and Ron Richards, where every week we cover the news, we cover the hardware, and we cover the apps that are driving the Android ecosystem. Plus, we invite people who are writing about Android, talking about Android, and making Android onto the show. Every Tuesday at twit.tv, look for All About Android.